Hi everybody, Debra here. Thank you for joining me on my channel. If you're new to my channel, I am a full-timer since 2014 and I have been on the road full-time since 2015. I'm on my fourth rig. My first one was a vintage Class B. My second one was a bumper pull trailer. My third one was a camper van known as Fancy Free, and I am now in Freebird, a vintage 1984 RV. So how many times do you think that you need to be in a rig before you find the one that works for you? And what does it take to find the one that works for you? Well, let's talk about that a little bit today. I thought I would solicit a little bit of help today to discuss this topic because I'm not the only one that has had multiple rigs. And we shared on Thursday how I came to get Freebird, and thank you guys again. And so today Gina is going to tell the backstory of the two RVs that she had and the backstory on Freebird before I got Freebird. Are y'all with me?
I'm following
oh,
it.
That's good. And so also I want to hear from you in the comments below. How many rigs have you had? How many do you think that you're going to have if you're just now getting on the road or thinking about it in the future? Because I can almost guarantee you it's going to be more than one.
Definitely.
So take it away, Gina. Tell us your story on how you started off with
Annie.
With Annie.
My 30-foot Class C.
Yeah.
That slept six.
Yeah. And your name for my Freebird was Flamingo. Flo. That's
Flo.
right. Because she loves flamingos.
Right. And my flamingo that was made by another one of your viewers,
Yes,
Joan J, made me a
Joan.
beautiful flamingo, and I named the flamingo Flo.
There you
and then
go.
that was so now Flo sits in my craft room, and Flo is still my mascot. So I bought Annie, which was a 30-foot Class C, and the plan was there was going to be a lot of family trips taken in Annie, meeting my sister and the grandkids and my husband, and it just didn't work out that way. We did one trip like that, and it wasn't fun having all those people sleeping in such tight quarters, to tell you the truth. It was kind of crowded, and every time somebody moved, the RV would move, and sleeping was awful. So, so I decided that was not going to be a fun. And Jeff was working all the time, so I ended up camping by myself with my girlfriends in their own campers, and here I am in this giant 30-foot Class C that half the thing's empty, and I'm driving it around when I don't need it. So, and Debra and I were on a camping trip, and she's like, I really think you should look at Tiki's rig. I really think you should look at that. And I thought about it, and I came home and discussed it with my husband, and of course he said, if that's what you really want, go ahead and get it, because he pretty much gives me anything I want. So I purchased the rig, and it's in Tucson. I've paid for it, and I just have to get to Tucson to pick it up. And my husband had been really ill, and lots of testing. He'd been in the hospital for 6 days. They didn't know what was going on with him, and he was released from the hospital. There's still lots of testing going on. So 2 days before I left on my trip to Tucson to pick up the rig, we had a doctor's appointment, and they finally figured out what was going on. We had a diagnosis. It was not a good one. And he was diagnosed with idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, which is a very bad scarring of the lungs. My husband's never smoked. He's never done any of the things that would cause this to happen to him. That's why it was called idiopathic. They had no idea how he got it. And they said normal after life expectancy after diagnosis is 2 to 5 years. So our whole world just came crashing to a giant halt right there 2 days before my trip. I didn't know what to do. I went ahead with the trip, and we drove, we had the trip. I came home, barely made it home because the transmission went out on the rig as soon as I hit Vegas. So I was able to get off on side streets and baby it and make it home without breaking down, thank God. So having to get the transmission replaced, and I had the mechanic look at it, and he told me there was some other things that needed to be done to it. I just didn't have the capacity to work on the rig at that point, with my whole world coming crashing to a halt like this. So the rig just sat at storage while we were dealing with our new life that we were having to live through. And In the meantime, there's a new medicine that had been developed, and my husband went on this medicine. And the good news is he is not progressing downhill as the disease normally does. He's staying right there. So this 2 to 5 years out the window, it is gone. We're not even thinking about that. So that's the good news. But in the meantime, I've got a rig that needs to be worked on. It's not going to work for the two of us because it's a twin bed. It just wasn't set up for two people. It was made for one person. We were lucky. And then, of course, all my trips had gotten canceled because I couldn't drive the rig. So I'm not able to camp. We're paying all this money for storage. COVID hits, so everything's out the window. And that's when Debra was coming to town. And we were like, hey, we can take our rig out of storage and not pay all that storage fee. You can have a rig to live in while you have a rig to drive back and forth. That would be like the best of all worlds for all three of us. And she said, yeah, I'll do that. So she came, we drove the rig out there, and after she was in it, she'd been having her own thoughts. And she said, I have a proposition for you. And God had been laying it on my heart that I had to get rid of the rig. It was not for us. What was I going to do? And when she said that, I go, yes, we want to deal with, we want to do this. We want to work with you. And that was the other story that you already heard. And so now Jeff and I don't have a rig. He is fully retired, had to go on disability. So both of us are now disabled. We're able to start traveling because he has improved health-wise enough. I have improved health-wise enough. But due to COVID, we're stuck at home because we're very high-risk people. So eventually we plan to get another rig. And this one we will have a travel trailer that we can haul behind our truck so that we can go and see and do things while we're camped. And that's what would work for the two of us. And I have had a travel trailer before. It was a very tiny one that I had when I lived in Tennessee, which was great for one person or a small family as I had at that time. And I sold that to move here. And then I went to Annie, then I went to Flo, and now we'll move on to the next one. Who knows?
So I say all the time, you never know what life is going to throw at you, and life boils down to seconds and inches.
Yep.
And no matter what, you just have to keep on keeping on.
Amen.
Yeah. So your circumstances for getting a different rig might not be so dramatic, but
I certainly hope not.
Yeah, but I can almost guarantee you that the rig that you start off with is not going to be the rig that you end up with. And what you have to do is just do the best you can at guessing what your needs are, and everything is a compromise in a rig.
Yeah.
You're not going to find the 100%.
Oh, gosh, no.
So I hope that this was entertaining, informative, and connecting for you, because I just love Gina and Jeff, and I wanted y'all to have the whole story, and I wanted you to know that whatever you end up doing, it's okay. Just keep going with the flow.
Yes. Keep on keeping on.
That's it. We'll see you down the road, everybody.
Bye.